our divorce hearing, my 9-year-old son held up his tablet and said, "Your Honor, I have a video to show you." And the moment it played, the courtroom stopped breathing. Most kids his age get nervous just talking in class. But my son Noah stood there in the silence of a packed courtroom, tiny hands shaking, eyes red from crying, yet braver than any adult in that room. Judge Williams leaned forward. "A video?" she repeated. "Who recorded it?" Noah swallowed hard. "I did," he whispered. "On my iPad." My ex-husband Brandon shot up from his chair. "Your Honor, this is ridiculous," Brandon barked. "He's a child. He doesn't even know what he's talking about." The judge raised a hand. "Sit down, Mr. Carver. I'll decide what's ridiculous." He sat, jaw tight, eyes burning at me like this was somehow my fault. But I hadn't told Noah to do anything. He had asked me 2 nights earlier if he could tell the truth someday, and I told him one thing: only if you feel safe. Today, he decided he did. My attorney whispered, "Let him play it." Judges rarely deny a child's own request, especially in abuse-linked custody. I sat perfectly still, hands folded in my lap, heart hammering so loud I felt it in my teeth. Noah walked toward the judge's bench, his little sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. "Bring the device here," Judge Williams said gently. Noah placed the iPad in her hands with the care of a child handing over his entire world. She plugged it into the courtroom screen. The lights dimmed. Bailiff closed the back doors. Every lawyer, clerk, and spectator twisted in their seats to see the monitor. Brandon leaned back with forced confidence. "There's nothing on that tablet but Minecraft and homework," he muttered loudly enough for the room to hear. "This is a waste of time." Noah whispered, "Press the blue one." The judge pressed play. The screen lit up. The courtroom went silent, and the first frame appeared. It was our kitchen. Nighttime. Lights low. Camera shaky, clearly recorded from behind the staircase railings. You could see me in the corner, washing dishes, and then Brandon walked into the frame. Even before he opened his mouth, I felt myself shrink in my seat, because I remembered that night. Judge Williams pressed the volume up button. Brandon's voice exploded through the speakers. "I said dinner should have been ready when I got home." My stomach clenched. Mom beside me gasped. People in the back row stiffened. On screen, I flinched but said nothing. I kept cleaning, shoulders tense, trying not to react. Then Brandon stepped closer. Too close, towering over me. "Do you ever listen? Or are you actually this stupid?" The courtroom murmured. The judge banged her gavel once. Silence. But the video wasn't done. You see Noah's tiny feet in the corner of the frame, hiding, recording, terrified. The video shook as he braced himself. Then Brandon slammed his fist onto the counter. The judge's eyes widened. A woman in the second row covered her mouth. On screen, I whispered, "Brandon, not now. Please, not in front of Noah." Brandon barked. "I don't care who's watching." He grabbed a plate and shattered it against the wall, inches from my head. People in the room gasped loudly. My attorney leaned over. This is enough to terminate his custody instantly." But the video kept going. Brandon shoved a glass off the counter. It exploded on the floor. I jumped back. Then he pointed at me and said, "If you ever make me look bad again," and the video cut off. Judge Williams paused the screen. You could have heard a pin drop. Brandon's lawyer slowly lowered his notepad like he'd forgotten how hands worked. My ex-husband wasn't smirking anymore. His face was chalk white. "No," Brandon muttered. "This is taken out of context. This is manipulated." "Manipulated?" the judge snapped. "The child recorded it. You admitted moments ago that he only has games and homework on this device." Brandon stuttered. I didn't know." She slammed her gavel. "Mr. Carver, step forward." He stood rigid, fists clenched. "You told this court your son was lying, confused, and easily influenced," the judge said. "But this video shows a child desperately trying to document the only reality he knows. Fear." Brandon opened his mouth. "Do not speak," she barked. He closed it. Judge Williams turned to Noah. "Noah," she said gently, "why did you record this video?" Noah looked at me first, then at the judge. "Because," his little voice cracked, "because when Dad yells at Mom, he doesn't know I see it. and I wanted someone to know. A woman in the gallery quietly sobbed. Judge Williams said softly, "You were very brave." Noah wiped his nose with his sleeve. "I didn't want Mom to be alone," he whispered. "I thought, if you saw it, you'd help her." I covered my mouth as tears poured down my face. My son, my baby, had saved me in a way I never imagined. Judge Williams leaned back in her chair. "Well," she said firmly, "you were right. I can help." She turned to Brandon. "Mr. Carver, based on this video alone, I am issuing an immediate protective order. You will have no contact with your son or your wife until further review." Brandon's face twisted in panic. "What? You can't— He's lying! She made him— This is all her." "Quiet!" the judge thundered. He froze. Noah walked slowly back to my table, eyes big, breath shaky. When he reached me, he whispered, "Mom, did I do something bad?" I pulled him into my arms. I pressed my face into his hair and shook my head. "No, sweetheart. You did something brave. You saved us." But the judge wasn't finished. She looked at Brandon one last time. "And Mr. Carver, this is only the beginning." Brandon swallowed. "What do you mean?" "I will be requesting a full investigation into domestic intimidation, coercive control, and child endangerment." His knees almost buckled. The judge added, "And the video your son brought today was only part 1. I can tell from his folder name." Brandon's eyes widened. He knew exactly what she meant, because I didn't know until today that Noah had labeled the folder. "Dad, proof." The courtroom door opened. The bailiff stepped forward. My ex suddenly looked very small, and that was the moment I felt it. Not revenge, not victory, but finally, safety. Noah held my hand tightly. "Mom," he whispered, "can we go home now?" I nodded. "Yes, baby, we can go home." My son's video ended the hearing, but the investigation was only beginning, and Brandon had no idea what was coming next. The moment Judge Williams adjourned the session, the courtroom erupted in whispers. Brandon stormed toward me. "You told him to record that," he hissed. "You manipulated him." My attorney stepped between us like a shield. "Back away, Mr. Carver," she warned. Brandon ignored her. He pointed at me with a shaking hand. "You did this. You turned my own son against me." "No," I said calmly. "You did that all by yourself." The bailiff approached. "Mr. Carver, you need to step back." Brandon clenched his jaw. "He's lying," he growled. "He's a kid. Kids lie." Noah shrank behind my leg. I stood taller. "Noah doesn't lie," I said quietly. "He learned that from me, which is more than I can say for his father." Brandon lunged. The bailiff grabbed his arm before he could reach me. "Sir, you're violating the judge's order," the bailiff warned. "One more step and you're in cuffs." Brandon froze. Judge Williams was still in the room. She turned sharply. "Bailiff." "Yes, Your Honor." "Escort Mr. Carver out of this building." Brandon glared at me like he wanted the ground to swallow us both. "You'll regret this," he spat. Judge Williams replied, "No, you will." The bailiff dragged him toward the hall. His footsteps echoed like angry thunder. As soon as he was out of sight, Noah gripped my sleeve. "Mom," he whispered, "is he going to try to take me again?" I knelt. "No, sweetheart," I said softly. "He can't come near you now." The judge made sure of it. Noah nodded, but his little face was pale. My attorney, Miss Keller, crouched down too. "Noah," she said gently, "you were very brave today. What you did, not every grown-up can do that." He blinked up at her. "Am I in trouble?" She shook her head. "No, you did everything right." Then she stood and faced me. "Emily," she said, voice low and serious, "that video alone is enough for temporary full custody, but we'll need everything Noah has." I frowned. "What do you mean everything he has?" Miss Keller took a breath. "When Noah labeled the folder Dad, proof, he didn't make that today. That folder's been there a while." Noah's little hand tightened around mine. I turned to him slowly. "Noah," I whispered, "how long have you been recording things?" He hesitated. Then quietly, "Since last Christmas." My heart cracked. Christmas. That was the night Brandon smashed a photo frame. The night he yelled at me for ruining the holiday. The night Noah had disappeared upstairs, my son whispered. I kept the videos in a secret folder because I didn't want Dad to delete them. He checks my iPad sometimes. Miss Keller's face went pale. Emily, she whispered, this is bigger than we thought. I held Noah's small shoulders. Sweetheart, you never did anything wrong. Do you hear me? He nodded, but his eyes stayed sad. I just wanted someone to believe me, he said. I hugged him tightly. I believe you, I said into his hair. I always will. The courthouse hallway was colder than the courtroom. Reporters had already gathered outside. The bailiff led us out a different exit. Miss Keller walked beside me. We need to get to my office, she said. The investigator will meet us there. The investigator? I repeated. Yes. Once there's evidence of domestic intimidation, the court assigns Child Protective Services and a family safety investigator. They'll want every file Noah has. I swallowed. You mean every video? Yes. Noah tugged my sleeve. Mom, I don't want anyone to see them, he whispered. Some of them are really bad. I crouched again. We'll only show the people who are here to protect us, I said. Not everyone, just the ones who can help. He nodded, unsure. Ethan, my attorney's paralegal and the gentlest soul in the building, knelt too. Noah, he said softly, my job is to make sure you're safe. And I promise you, you're not alone in this anymore. Noah's eyes softened. He reached into his backpack and pulled out the iPad. This is all of it, he whispered. Miss Keller nodded. We'll upload everything to a secure drive. No one will lose it. No one will erase it. I exhaled. I didn't think my heart could break more. But it did. Because Noah whispered, Dad told me nobody would believe me unless I had proof. In the car, Noah sat quietly in the back seat, his little dinosaur plush pressed to his chest. He looked out the window as if trying to disappear into the moving world outside. When we reached Miss Keller's office, the investigator was already waiting. Detective Harris. Calm. Serious. Professional. Gentle voice. Steady eyes. She smiled at Noah. Hi, buddy. I'm here to help you and your mom. Can we talk? Noah nodded nervously. Only if she stays, he whispered, pointing at me. I'll be right here, I said, taking his hand. Detective Harris placed a small recorder on the desk. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions? Noah shrugged. Okay. Why did you start recording your dad? She asked softly. Noah looked down at his shoes. Because nobody ever sees how different he is when we're alone, he said. And Mom kept saying she would tell someone, but she never did. Tears burned behind my eyes. I didn't want to make things worse, I whispered. Detective Harris nodded knowingly. It's common, she said. Victims often try to survive quietly. Noah kept talking. Dad said if I ever told anyone, I'd get in trouble. But Mom would get in more trouble. My breath stopped. What? I asked. Noah nodded. He said if I told people he yelled or pushed things, they'd take me away from you. Miss Keller froze. Detective Harris set her pen down. That, she said slowly, is coercive control of a minor. My stomach twisted. Noah whispered, That's why I made the videos. So if they took me, I could show them it was him, not Mom. I covered my face. I couldn't hold the sob in. Noah crawled into my lap and hugged me. I didn't want to lose you, he whispered. You'll never lose me, I choked. Detective Harris gave us a moment. Then she said, Noah, does your dad ever hit your mom or you? I stiffened. Noah took a long, trembling breath, and then he whispered the sentence that made the room tilt. Not me. But he hit the wall next to Mom's head once, and he said next time, it would be her. The air left my lungs. Miss Keller whispered, This changes everything. Detective Harris nodded. This is no longer a custody case, she said. It's a criminal case. Noah buried his face in my chest. I held him tightly. Then Detective Harris asked, Noah, is there another video? He nodded slowly. One more. It's the worst one. What's in it? She asked. Noah swallowed. It's from the day Dad said Mom would never leave him. And he said if she tried, he would make sure she never got to walk out the door. Every adult in that room froze. Even the walls seemed to hold their breath. Detective Harris's voice was very calm, very quiet. Noah, she said, we need to see that video. He handed her the iPad with shaking hands. She clicked the last file. A thumbnail appeared. Brandon's face. Smirking. Mean. Close to the camera. Detective Harris whispered, "This is enough for immediate arrest." Noah whimpered, "Mom, what's going to happen now?" I kissed his forehead. Something that should have happened a long time ago. He clung to me. "Is Dad going to jail?" I didn't sugarcoat it. "Yes, baby. He is." Detective Harris stood. "I'll be issuing a warrant within the hour." And for the first time in years, I saw fear finally shifting, not from us, but toward him. The investigator saw the last video. She said it was enough for an arrest. But Noah still hadn't told us everything, not until Brandon completely lost control. Detective Harris closed the folder on her tablet. Her voice was calm, controlled, but cold enough to freeze bone. "I'm issuing an emergency warrant right now," she said. "Brandon Carver will be arrested today." Noah squeezed my hand so tightly it hurt. "Mom," he whispered, "what if he gets mad?" I turned to him. "Honey, once the police take him, he won't be able to come near us again." "But he always comes back," Noah murmured. That sentence broke me more than any bruise Brandon had caused. "No, sweetheart," I said firmly. "Not this time." Detective Harris stepped out to make the call. Miss Keller sat across from us, tapping her pen gently, thinking, calculating. "Emily," she said quietly, "this case is turning criminal fast. You and Noah need to be somewhere safe. Tonight." I nodded. "We'll stay with my sister," I said, though my voice trembled. "She's been telling me to leave him for years." Miss Keller softened. "Good. Do not go home. Not even for clothes." Noah looked confused. "But my dinosaurs." "We'll buy new ones," I said, brushing his hair back. "You don't need anything from that house." He nodded slowly, trusting me in the way only a child who has survived too much fear knows how to trust. 15 minutes later, Detective Harris returned. The room stilled. "It's done," she said. "Warrant signed. Officers are en route to arrest him now." My heart raced. It was happening. Finally. But before the relief fully settled in, Detective Harris added, "And Mr. Carver already left the courthouse on foot, so they're tracking him downtown." That punched fear back into my chest like cold water. "What if he comes here?" I asked. "He won't," she answered. "2 officers are already stationed at this building. You're protected." Noah tugged my sleeve. "Mom," he whispered, voice trembling, "can I tell you something? But you can't be mad." My stomach tightened. "Of course. You can tell me anything." He looked down at his shoes. "It's about the last video." I swallowed. "What about it?" He whispered. "I didn't show you the whole thing." My breath caught. Detective Harris leaned forward slightly. "Noah, what do you mean?" He wiped his face with his sleeve. "There's a part 2. "Where is it?" she asked. "In the cloud," he murmured. I hid it, so Dad couldn't delete it. This child. My God. Detective Harris nodded. "Okay, we need to see it." Noah opened his iPad again. His hands shook so much I helped him steady it. He navigated carefully, as if every tap was a memory he didn't want to relive. He opened a private folder. A hidden one. There were more videos. More dates. More thumbnails. I felt sick. Detective Harris whispered, "Noah, we only need the one you're talking about." He tapped a video labeled, "Dad. After." The thumbnail was black. He hit play. The video opened with dark stairs, Noah hiding behind his bedroom door. Brandon's voice came through the hallway. Slurred, drunk, ugly. "You think she'll leave me? You think anyone will believe her?" Noah whispered behind the camera. "Dad, please stop. Mom's crying." Brandon's footsteps moved toward him. "Give me that tablet." Noah backed away. "No," past Noah whispered. "It's not yours." Brandon laughed. A cold, awful sound. "Everything in this house is mine, including you." The camera shook violently as Noah scrambled under his bed. Brandon opened the door. You could see his shoes. He bent down. "You think you're smarter than me? You think you can hide things from me?" Noah whimpered. "Please, Daddy. Please don't." The video glitched. Noise. A loud smack. Something falling. Noah crying. Brandon shouting. Next time your mom thinks about leaving, I'll make sure she understands what happens. Detective Harris's face changed instantly. Her calm broke into something sharper. Pause it, she said. Noah tapped the screen. The room was utterly silent. Detective Harris leaned forward. Noah, she said gently, did he ever hit you? He shook his head quickly. No. He hit the floor, he hit the door, he hit the wall. But one time, he threw my backpack. And did he ever tell you to stay quiet about this? Noah nodded. He said if I told anyone, they would take me away from Mom. And he said Mom would go to jail. A tear slid down my cheek. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. I wanted to hold my son forever. Detective Harris closed her notebook. That video proves emotional and physical intimidation of a minor and the mother, she said. This is now a high-priority case. Noah wiped his tears. Did I get him in trouble? He asked. She smiled gently. You got him exactly the trouble he earned. 30 minutes later, my phone rang. Detective Harris answered it for me. Yes? Good. Safely. Excellent. Bring him in. She hung up. It's done, she said. Brandon Carver is in custody. Noah exhaled like he'd been holding that breath for years. I hugged him. It's over, I whispered. But then he pulled back, eyes wide, terrified. No, he said. It's not. What do you mean, sweetheart? He bit his lip until it almost bled. Mom, I never told you the worst part. My stomach dropped. What part? He shook. The reason I made the last video. Detective Harris leaned closer. What reason, Noah? He whispered. Because Dad told me. If you ever tried to leave, he would make it look like you hurt me. The room went dead still. My heart stopped. What? I breathed. He said. Noah whispered. Everyone trusts a kid. If I need to, I'll tell them you did it. I covered my mouth. Tears poured instantly. Detective Harris erupted with anger. That's witness tampering, coercive control, and preparing false allegations. This is incredibly serious. Noah cried harder. I didn't want him to lie about you, he sobbed. I didn't want anyone to think you hurt me. You're the nicest person in the world. I lifted him onto my lap and held him to my chest. You saved me, I whispered. You saved us both. Detective Harris nodded. And because of everything you recorded, she said gently, no one will ever question your mom again. Noah finally relaxed, exhausted, trembling, but lighter. Then the detective added, Emily, it's time to prepare for the full custody hearing. And with this evidence, you'll win. I kissed Noah's forehead. And for the first time, he smiled. Brandon was arrested. But the storm wasn't over, because the truth Noah had buried the longest was about to rise to the surface. The police station smelled like old carpet and cold coffee. Detective Harris led us through the back hallway so we wouldn't run into anyone, especially Brandon. His arrest had shaken the whole department. Officers kept peeking into the hall, whispering. Noah held my hand with both of his. Mom? He whispered. Yes, baby? Are we safe now? I squeezed his fingers. Yes, I said softly. But there are a few people who need to talk to us, okay? Just to make sure everything is done right. He nodded, though his eyes stayed worried. When we reached the conference room, a woman in a navy blazer stood waiting. She had soft eyes and a calm smile, the kind people use when they're trained to work with scared children. Hi, she said gently. I'm Claire. I'm with Child Protective Services. Noah immediately hid his face in my sleeve. Claire crouched down to his level. Hey, you didn't do anything wrong, she said. I'm here to help make sure your home stays safe. Noah peeked at her. Do you take kids away? He asked bluntly. Claire shook her head. No. I help fix dangerous situations. I only take kids away from people who hurt them. Noah's shoulders relaxed slightly. Mom never hurt me, he said. Claire nodded. I know, and we're going to make sure everyone knows that. She sat down, opening her folder. Emily, she said to me, I need to get a full picture of what's been happening. My stomach tightened. Years of fear sat in my throat like a stone, but I told her anyway. The shouting, the intimidation, the smashed objects, the controlling rules, the way Brandon monitored my phone, my messages, my friends, how he once unplugged the Wi-Fi because I was taking too long texting my sister, How he hid my car keys during arguments so I couldn't leave. Claire took notes, page after page. When I finished, she drew a slow breath. "Thank you," she said softly. "This lines up with everything Noah recorded." My chest tightened again. Then she turned to Noah. "Sweetheart, can I ask you a hard question?" He swallowed. "Okay. Why did you wait until today to show the videos?" He shifted nervously in his chair. "Because," Noah whispered, "Dad said nobody would believe me." Claire nodded gently. "And what happened today?" Noah looked at me. "Mom believed me. The judge believed me." "You believed me?" Then he whispered. "So I thought maybe it was safe now." My heart cracked open again. Claire's voice softened. "You're very brave, and very smart." He blinked. No one had called him that in front of his father. Ever. Then Claire closed her folder. "Emily, based on everything you've shown me, and based on Noah's testimony, CPS recommends immediate full custody to you." I nearly collapsed with relief. Noah wrapped his arms around my waist. "What about Dad?" he whispered. Claire exchanged a glance with Detective Harris. "Right now," she said carefully, "your dad is in a holding room. He's being questioned." Noah looked scared again. "He gets mean when he's scared," he whispered. Claire nodded. "That's why he's not with you," she said. "And why he won't be." Detective Harris returned 20 minutes later. She closed the door behind her. Her expression was unreadable. "Emily," she said, "you need to hear this." My stomach twisted. "Is something wrong?" She shook her head. "No. But you need to know what Brandon said during the interview." She set her notepad down. "First," she said, "he denied everything." "Of course he did." "Then," she continued, "when we showed him the videos, he broke." I exhaled. "Broke how?" I asked carefully. "Anger," she said. "Denial. Threats. Then panic." Her eyes darkened. "And then he said something disturbing." Noah tensed beside me. "What did he say?" I whispered. Detective Harris took a breath. He said, and I quote, "I warned her I'd make sure she'd never walk out. If she took my kid, I'd ruin her life before she left the driveway." I went numb. Noah whimpered and buried his face in my side. Claire's jaw tightened. "That confirms the threat Noah recorded," she said. Detective Harris wasn't done. "There's more." My blood ran cold. "More?" She nodded slowly. "When we asked him why he acted this way, he said, 'Because the kid is scared of me. And if the kid is scared, she'll never leave.'" Noah squeezed my waist so tight it hurt. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Detective Harris gently placed her hand over mine. "Emily," he admitted to intimidating Noah on purpose. Claire spoke softly. "This alone is enough to remove all parental rights." Noah looked up at me with red eyes. "Mom, I don't want him to be my dad anymore." I kissed his temple. "You don't have to," I whispered. Detective Harris sat back. "There's something else," she said. My stomach clenched. "What?" "It's about the memory Noah hinted at, the one he hasn't fully told us." Noah froze. His hands shook. Detective Harris knelt in front of him. "Sweetheart, you're safe," she said. "You can tell us anything." He shook his head. Tears spilled. Then he whispered something so soft I leaned in to hear it. "Mom, do you remember the night you fell down the stairs?" My breath stopped. I remembered. 3 years ago. Late at night. I'd been carrying laundry. Slipped. Tumbled. Brandon said I missed a step. He said it was an accident. Noah's lip trembled. "You didn't slip." The room froze. Claire whispered, "Noah, what are you saying?" He sobbed into my shirt. "I saw him push you." The world tilted. I grabbed the edge of the table. "What?" I gasped. Noah nodded, crying harder. He didn't know I was awake. "I saw him push you. You hit the wall. You fell. He said it was your fault. I tried to tell you, but I got scared." Detective Harris closed her eyes. Claire covered her mouth. Miss Keller whispered, "Oh my God." I held Noah as he cried so hard his little body shook. "Oh, baby," I whispered through tears. "You didn't do anything wrong. Not then. Not ever." Noah clung to me like the world would fall apart if he let go. Detective Harris stood, voice like steel. "That's attempted assault causing harm. If we confirm that, he could face felony charges." Claire nodded fiercely. And it fully explains the long-term fear patterns in this household. Noah hiccuped through sobs. I thought you'd get hurt if I told, he whispered. I held his face in my hands. You saved me, I whispered. And now I'm saving you. He rested his forehead on mine. I didn't want to remember it. I know, I whispered. And you never have to relive it again. Detective Harris exhaled. Emily, with this new information, the case outcome is clear. She sat down. Brandon would not get custody. He wouldn't get visitation. He wouldn't get supervised time. She said the words I had waited years to hear. You will get full, permanent custody. Noah let out a shaky breath, half sob, half relief. And for the first time in his life, he wasn't scared. Noah told the truth, the full truth. And now the court was ready to give him and me something we had never had before: safety. The custody courtroom felt different the second time. Not because the judge changed. Not because the lawyers changed, but because Noah changed. He sat beside me in a little navy sweater, clutching his new stuffed dinosaur, the one Claire from CPS gave him. He wasn't hiding behind his hands. He wasn't shaking. He looked steady, like a kid who finally understood that the monster in the dark was gone. Judge Williams entered and took her seat. Her eyes softened when she saw Noah. Hello again, Noah, she said kindly. It's good to see you. He nodded. Hi, Your Honor. Brandon's chair was empty. Only his lawyer sat at the defendant's table, stiff, pale, miserable, because Brandon wasn't allowed anywhere near us. He was in county jail, awaiting a separate hearing on charges spanning coercive control, intimidation, child endangerment, attempted assault, witness tampering, and obstruction. And now possibly more, depending on the stair incident. So today, his lawyer was alone. Miss Keller stood beside me, confident and composed. Detective Harris was present too, representing the state. The judge opened the file. Let the record show, she said, that Mr. Carver is not present due to protective custody restrictions and pending criminal charges. She looked at me and Noah. And let the record also show that the child and the mother are safe. Noah squeezed my hand. For the first time in months, I felt my lungs fully expand. The judge adjusted her glasses. This hearing concerns permanent custody arrangements for minor child, Noah Carver. Brandon's lawyer cleared his throat. Your Honor, my client maintains that... Judge Williams raised a hand. Counselor, unless your client is here to answer questions, we will proceed based on the evidence presented. The lawyer sat down, defeated. Miss Keller stepped forward. Your Honor, we have submitted all video evidence Noah recorded over the last 8 months. The court has reviewed them. Detective Harris has confirmed their authenticity, and CPS recommends permanent full custody to the mother. Judge Williams nodded. Thank you. Then she turned to Noah. Sweetheart, she said, before I make my final decision, I want to ask you something. Noah sat up straighter. Yes, ma'am? Do you feel safe with your mother? He nodded immediately. Yes. She never yells. She hugs me. She makes hot chocolate when I'm sad. I swallowed tears. The judge smiled softly. And how do you feel when you're with your father? Noah's face changed. He looked down. Then he whispered with a bravery that filled the whole room. I get small. The judge frowned gently. What does that mean, honey? He lifted his eyes. It means I feel like if I breathe too loud, something bad will happen. The judge paused. The entire room absorbed the weight of that sentence. Miss Keller whispered, He's extraordinary. Judge Williams nodded. Noah, thank you for telling me the truth. He nodded again, clutching his dinosaur tight. Then she turned to me. Mrs. Carver, would you like to say anything before I rule? I rose slowly. My knees trembled, not from fear, from the magnitude of this moment. Yes, Your Honor, I said. I looked at Noah. My son saved me, I said, voice unsteady. When I was too scared to speak, he spoke. When I couldn't prove what was happening, he found the courage to record it. He shouldn't have had to be that strong, but he was. Noah blinked up at me, little eyes shining. He deserves a life that isn't built on fear, I continued. He deserves peace. He deserves home. He deserves safety. And I will spend the rest of my life giving him that. Judge Williams nodded, deeply moved. She turned to Noah. And you, young man, she said warmly, deserve happiness. Noah whispered. I just want to be with Mom. The judge folded her hands. Then let's make that happen. She picked up her gavel. In the case of Carver versus Carver, permanent, full, and exclusive custody is awarded to the mother, Emily Carver. My breath caught. She continued, all visitation rights for Mr. Carver are terminated immediately. No supervised contact. No phone contact. No electronic contact. No communication of any kind. Noah gasped, a relieved, tiny gasp. And additionally, Judge Williams said, the court orders a permanent protective order for both mother and child. Noah buried his face in my sleeve and cried, not from fear this time, from relief, from release, from freedom. My tears fell onto his hair as I hugged him close. The judge smiled gently. Case closed. The gavel struck. Noah exhaled like he had been underwater for years and finally broke the surface. He looked up at me. Mom, are we really safe now? I touched his cheek. Yes, sweetheart. We're safe forever. He leaned into me, tired, relieved, alive. Detective Harris approached. You two did incredibly well today, she said softly. You're free now. Noah whispered. What happens to Dad? Detective Harris answered calmly. He'll face his charges. He'll have to explain everything he did, but you don't have to worry about him anymore, ever. Noah nodded slowly. Then something softened in his face, something childlike, finally surfacing after all the fear. Mom? He asked. Yes? Can we get ice cream? I laughed through tears. Yeah, I whispered. We can get all the ice cream you want. As we walked out of the courtroom, Claire from CPS stopped us. She handed Noah a small envelope. This is for you, she said gently. He opened it. Inside was a certificate. Certificate of Courage. Awarded to Noah Carver. For bravery beyond his years. Noah smiled. A real smile. The first one I'd seen since before the fear started. He looked up at me. Mom, I'm not scared anymore. I know, I whispered. We stepped outside into the late afternoon sun. For the first time in years, the world didn't feel heavy. It felt new, fresh, possible. Noah held my hand as we walked to the car. Mom? He said softly. Yes, baby? You didn't leave Dad because of me, right? I stopped, kneeled, held his face gently between my hands. No, I whispered. I left because of me, but I fought because of you. He threw his arms around my neck. I lifted him up, holding him close, breathing him in. He whispered in my ear, I'm happy it's just us now. Me too. Me too. We drove away with the windows down. The wind in our hair, the sun warm and bright, and for the first time, we weren't escaping. We were going home. Did you like my story? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. More life stories are waiting for you.